There are a lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports. Let go, show recaps, predictions, sports.
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports. Let go.
What's going on, everybody? It's the EVP from the EVP Show, and we are live for not wrestling, but reality TV, the Big Brother Season 28 Week 3 recap show. The eviction episode just concluded. There was not an HOH. That was crowned. Unfortunately, I don't know why they're not doing that this season, but it was definitely an interesting week. So hopefully you guys had a good Thursday. We're almost to SummerSlam. We're right there. It's 48 hours, less than 48 hours. It's gonna be an interesting one. So I'm just going out and retweeting that I'm live really quick. While we're waiting for a second. Let's see. All right. So we got 16 people in. Go ahead and retweet. Oh, the Twitter update's got the little thing, the little pink thing around my name. No, that's cool. Haven't seen that before. This was a wild week. This was a really, really wild week. Good week. Not very surprising, but same people are in power as always. Looks like it was interesting though because we got to see a lot of different dynamics of the game this week. I feel like even though it's still pretty lopsided, somebody is going to have to win some power on that other side, or looks like they're going to get picked off one by one. So, but yeah. Just pulling up all my notes. Sorry, guys. I have a lot of notes. We have 12 parts, I believe. So, all right. So we are live once again for the. I'm so happy I get a change of pace. I had 2 wrestling shows yesterday. Shout out to Kyle, obviously, for the Queens of WWE show last night. I was super gassed by the end of it. Super long prediction show. Shout out to Miami, CJ, Stampede, Fanatic, Carlos, Sean, everyone that see if I'm leaving anyone out. Travel Kingpin. I think that was everybody. Kyle, obviously. I tagged everyone. But shout out to you guys for coming on to the SummerSlam prediction show. As always, I haven't done we haven't done an NXT one in a while, so you guys be on the lookout. Thank you for tuning in to the prediction show last night. We had close to over 400, 500 plus views through all the platforms. But you got to be on the lookout for the NXT Heatwave, which will be coming up at the end of August. I'll be making a post probably next week. If you've never been on the show, or if you just want to have your voice heard, it's an opportunity for you guys to be able to come on a prediction show. You don't have to come on camera if you don't want to show your face, but yeah, always be on the lookout. So shout out to everybody for that. What's going on, Sean? Good to see you. Haven't watched Big Brother since 19. Good to see someone reacting to it, though I just have a hard time getting over the BS that happened in BB 19. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, is that so? It's been so many. I've watched so many episodes, Sean, or so many seasons. Is that the one where Paul lost to Josh Martinez in the end? Is that the one? Because that one was gross. Paul. I know Paul lost to Nicole, but I think that was maybe like 16 or 17. I know 20. Big Brother 20. Cody Calipari won. I don't remember. Let me look it up really quick. Now I'm interested. Now I'm interested, Sean. I want to see who won Big 19. This season has been good. Paul. So it was okay. It was Paul. Okay. Yeah. So he previously had lost to Nicole Franzel in season 16. I believe it was 16 when he lost to Nicole Franzel, and he was. I could see him losing a little bit more to Nicole, but he got robbed twice, in my opinion. I wish they would have brought him back, but he, after the second time, he said that he was not going to play Big Brother again. So that's a sad thing because he's probably one of my top 3 favorite players in Big Brother history. So that sucks. It's when they try to trigger Cody PTSD. So I'm not sure. Cody wasn't in season 19, I don't think. Was it? Oh, Cody. Jessica Graff and Cody Nixon season. I didn't like that. He was a freaking beast though. What's going on, Kingpin? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in yesterday. Obviously, I don't know why. We're not having very much luck with the fantasy football. We're running out of time. I really got starting tomorrow. I really got to start pushing that because I got to try at least get a couple of leagues filled, even if it's a cheaper league. I've never not had a fantasy football season, so it's really starting to stress me the hell out. But yeah. I didn't like that part either. Obviously, they did trigger his PTSD, but Cody did get one good thing out of that season. He met Jessica Graff. They're obviously married. I believe they have 4 or 5 kids now. So, shout out to them, obviously. If you guys are watching live on YouTube, make sure you guys hit that like button. You guys killed it for Sunday Night Scoop. The subscribers are still coming in. I guess everybody's anticipating the big drawing on August the 9th. I believe last time I checked, I was up to 318. So I got everyone added on a list. I'm just gonna have to add a few more names. I had a couple of more people subscribe today. So shout out to you guys. We're only 182 away from 500, which is just absolutely insane. But that's a long ways away, but I know we'll get there. So yeah, it was 19. When he lost to Josh, I thought that was that was 100%. When Paul lost to Josh, that was 100% jury related. That was just, I don't know. Paul dominated that season, but I think he just ran into a really bitter jury twice in a row. So it's difficult. It's when they try to trigger. Yeah, I didn't like that either. I wasn't a fan of that. I don't like it when players take their feelings into account for the winner. Best game. Players should have won. Yeah, I mean, Paul played the best game both seasons. Nicole, for me, she's one of the female icons. A lot of people underestimate Nicole because she, the way she talks and, but she actually holds the record for the most days in the Big Brother house. And she played the season that Derek won. So, and then she lost in I believe it was All Stars. She made it to Final 3 with Cody and Enzo. The season Cody won, and Cody would beat either one of them, but he cut Nicole. I don't even know if they've spoke since then. So, Big Brother it's a game where, if you guys have never seen it, if you're watching live and you have never seen it before, you're basically shut off from the entire world. You have no cell phones. It's not like you can get on a computer, an iPad, YouTube. You're confined in this house for 3 months with a bunch of strangers. So I mean, they give you everything you need as far as food and stuff like that. And there's always somebody every season that can cook. So they tend to cast. Allison Gardner tends to do a good job about casting. I've auditioned for that show at like every single season. I've always wanted to go play it. Obviously, I'm probably too old now, but I would still love to go. I mean, maybe not because Latrice, she's bubbly, but she's in her 50s. So, but she's probably not winning a competition. If you guys saw the Blockbuster tonight, she was absolutely terrible in that competition, which that would have been a comp I would have really been good at. The Blockbuster was really close tonight, really, really close. So, that was a good one for sure. He was absolutely a jerk, but I don't like trying to incite someone PTSD and violence. Yeah, he was. Paul was an ass. And that was just his gameplay. Like I said, I don't really like how, the bullying and all that, like he did with Cody, in that season. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff to intel with playing Big Brother. Like if you're a have not for the week, then you're eating slop and you're taking cold showers for a fucking week. So like it's way different than Survivor because Survivor is shorter time. But you're like outside in Survivor and all the elements and stuff. So it definitely has some similarities, but in Big Brother, that's why you have to do like a serious, like they do like a serious mental eval on you before you get casted because like you could just go crazy up in there. Like, you're moving in with complete strangers for 90 days. And most of the stuff, like, I don't know if you guys watch the feeds. Obviously, that's where I get a lot of my information for the recaps and stuff. I'll stay up super late watching the feed, but most of the time the HOH and the noms usually happens on like a Friday, and then normally on Saturday they do the veto, and usually by like Monday or Tuesday, like the final noms are already set, so they're just chilling for like the next 2 days. And then they show what happened, on Sundays. And then Fridays is the new show that they come out with a couple seasons ago with Taylor Hill and Derek, former winners. This past Friday's episode, we're going to talk about that in the recap tonight because that's where they actually revealed. You can go to, I believe it's bigbrother.com or cbs.com/Big Brothers vote or something. I don't know. I've been voting every week, but the person I vote for has not fucking won yet. And I don't think she's gonna win because she's a Survivor winner. So I don't think that they're going to. I can't possibly think. I don't know. Maybe Survivor people can rally, but Rick Devens. We'll talk about him tonight, obviously, with the BB time capsule. I'm gonna reveal all the powers and all the advantages that was revealed on Big Brother Unlocked that happened Friday as well. So got a big show for you guys planned. I've tried to watch it since then, just gotten hard. I enjoyed the recap though. Appreciate that. Appreciate you coming in. Haven't seen you in a while, but besides last night, coming into the YouTube stream. I just decided to do something different. Yes, I would not like to be on slop. That's terrible. I just decided to do something different. It gives me a night away from wrestling. I stream so much that for me, this is not work. This is fun. Streaming wrestling is not work either, but I can escape everything from wrestling. Like I got a big weekend coming up for SummerSlam. I know how packed that's going to be. And, hopefully the recaps for both nights are going to be incredible. But at the end of the day, this is like a stress relief for me just to be able, because I've been watching this show since season 2. So 26 years. I'm not going to tell my age, but I'll just say that I was a teenager when I was watching this show. So yeah. Love the comments, guys. Thank you. I used to love watching the feeds. I found it interesting how they used to frame certain things differently on the show. Made me feel nice knowing the backstory and what actually happened. Yeah, the feeds, man. Like you get, so they only put so much stuff on the live show on Sundays, Wednesdays, and obviously eviction night on Thursdays. So like if you are not watching the feeds, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. A lot of alliances that they really don't talk about. I mean, they only have an hour, hour and a half usually on the live shows. So the feeds are the way to go. I don't think they've started the HOH yet for tonight. I always, as soon as I'm done, I try to go to Paramount Plus and get on the, because I think they normally, I thought they were doing the wall comp. I thought this was going to be, they have not done a physical HOH yet. I will get to this week's HOH, which I really don't even like saying the name. It's a wrestling related HOH, but the name is pretty freaky. We haven't had a physical endurance comp yet, so I really thought that that's where we were going to be leaning for week 4. But I told a lot of my friends once, Rome was evicted last week. I said, Lyric is an attorney at the end of the day. Like she's acting dumb. She's playing a very similar game to Ashley Hollis last year, who won, but Lyric can win comps. So like she's good looking and all that, and she's flirting, but the best thing for her to have a chance to win this game was for Rome to leave, because you're not gonna make it all the way to the end in a showman. So it's just not gonna happen. And then telling each other they're gonna marry each other. She said on the feed, bro, that like she said, she's telling Mallory that she needs to hook up with Drew and Melody needs to hook up with Barrett, and we need to turn this into Big Brother Love Island. It's just all kinds of crazy shit. I actually, before I did this recap, when I worked for a different company, I was doing blogs for Big Brother, for Traders, for Survivor. So I would write up like blogs and stuff, and this is just perfect for me because I can still kind of write it out, and I break it into parts or whatever. So you guys will enjoy it. It's a little long, but you guys will enjoy it for sure. I know Kingpin, he loves it, so he looks forward to it every week. Lyric on feed talking about Rome is crazy. Thought she loved him. Laugh out now. No, now she don't know. She does. She said it when she evicted tonight. She said, "Shout out to Rome. I love you and miss you." They're 100% going to get together after the show, which is just fucking crazy. Like they're getting married after 2 days. If you haven't been married before, you might want to reconsider that 2-day shit. I can tell you, it's a lot more to it than that. So let's go ahead and get started. We got 50 people watching. Thank you guys for the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, Sean and Kingpin were part of my SummerSlam prediction show. I have the shorts. While I was watching Big Brother, I made some YouTube shorts from last night's prediction show. So you guys go in there and take a look at those. I think Sean may be on one. Kingpin, you may be on one. It's just whatever StreamYard generators, about, 12 to 15 of them. So I usually try to do that for the PLEs and the recaps and stuff like that. So I did just put out some shorts. So thank you guys for that. All right. So this is the Big Brother season 28 week 3 recap. Like I said, I break this into parts because I write this. I still write a blog. I just don't do it for that company anymore. Doing it for someone else. So part 1. I titled it House Status and Setting the Stage. Previously on Big Brother, after an intense second week in the Big Brother house, the game has officially shifted from first impression to full-scale strategy. Alliances were tightening, trust was becoming harder to find, and nearly every house guest realized they could no longer rely on simply blending into the background. Week 2 ended with Rome, which was he was in a show match with Become the second house guest evicted. Obviously, Ashley was evicted week 1 with the unanimous vote. His departure left the house with one fewer number, forcing several alliances to rethink their positions going into the new week. With another player gone, the remaining house guest knew every competition mattered even more. Winning power could completely reshape the game, while one bad conversation could send someone home. So, entering week 3, the house definitely was becoming more divided. We have the Toolshed Alliance, which is Camu, Chuck, Haley, Barrett, Drew, D, Devins, and Angela. That's 8 people. I mean, they have the numbers. So, like, if I'm a little worried about Drew and Barrett. I think they could flip because Drew's obviously got something going on with. I think there's a showman's brewing with him, with the Melody, and then you got Barrett, who I don't know. D was like holding his arm and stuff today on the feeds, and I'm like, damn, D, what's going on? Like, are you this Survivor all over again? So it's definitely a divided house. For me personally, I want D to win, but I would like to see somebody else in power because I would like to see what happens when that other side of the house has power, because it's definitely reminding me of a season similar to what we've had in the past, like when Cody Calafori won season 20, or when Tyler Crispin, and what was the girl's name that beat him? Casey Clark. I mean, their side of the house has dominated every HOH, so it was just like they just steamroll. As long as the Toolshed keeps winning, unless it's Drew or Barrett. If Drew or Barrett wins this week, they could take a shot at the Survivor people or somebody in that alliance. But for the next couple of weeks, I feel like Toolshed probably gonna win, and they're just gonna pick them off. One by one. I don't see anybody besides maybe a Drew or Barrett turning on anybody in the Toolshed, right? D and Devins, Rick Devins, how they have a final 2. And I'll talk about that when we get to the BB Tomcastle stuff. Angela, I think she has a final 2 with D as well. D is very well insulated, but I don't think she's liked by America because she hasn't won the Tomcastle yet, which I hope she wins this week. I just put 15 votes in for her, so her house better win. So the house was divided. Some players quietly built strong relationships without drawing attention, while others were beginning to earn reputation as strategic threats. Conversations became more private. Alliances met more frequently, and nearly everyone was preparing for what they believed would be one of the most important head of household competitions so far. Several players wanted to make a bold move, while others argued that keeping the house united for another week was the safest path. No matter which strategy won out, everyone knew one thing: winning HOH would completely change the direction of the game. So the strategy before the competition. As the live feeds and episodes show, several different priorities have formed around the house. Some house guests wanted to eliminate a strong competitor before they gained momentum. Others wanted to keep shields in the game, such as Mallory and Jason, and target someone with fewer connections. A handful of players preferred a quieter week that wouldn't expose their own alliances. The social game became just as important as the competitions, with nearly every conversation carrying strategic meaning. So let's go to Friday's episode first before we get into the HOH, the BB Time Capsule. So starting on every Thursday to the following Sunday, you can go on cbs.com/bigbrother/vote, I believe it's something like that, and vote for your favorite house guest. They can either, they will either get an opportunity to, they go into the time capsule and they spin around on a chair. They have to hit a button. If they land on power, they get a power. If they land on punishment, they get a punishment. Obviously, we saw Angela in the egg costume the first week, so she won, but she got a punishment. So let's talk about the time capsule and who won and what all of the powers and disadvantages that were revealed on that episode. So that I don't normally usually watch the Friday episode, but since they were revealing the powers and stuff, I did. So the BB Time Castle twist remained one of the biggest wild cards of the season. House guests knew that hidden powers and disadvantages could dramatically affect nominations, competitions, or voting, creating uncertainty through the house. Players had to consider not only each other's strategies, but also the possibility that a twist could change everything at a moment's notice. This uncertainty made it difficult to commit fully to any plan. So, house dynamics. By the beginning of week 3, core alliances were becoming more loyal. Smaller side deals were appearing throughout the house. Floating players were trying to stay off everyone's radar. Competitive threats were beginning to attract more attention. Social players continue to strengthen relationships that become critical later in the season. The atmosphere inside the house was noticeably more intense than during the opening weeks. Everyone understood that surviving week 3 would put them one step closer to the jury and the grand prize. So that is part 1. Move on to part 2. Okay, so we're not going to go to the time capsule. We're going to start with the HOH. We'll do the time capsule. I think that might be part 3. So, as the outgoing HOH, Rick Devens is not able to compete as the HOH, so the remaining house guests will compete. The name, I can't even believe I'm going to have to say this name on YouTube. The name of the HOH competition was WrestleGasm 85. So Big Brother this season is about time travel. So like all the competitions that they're doing is like going back to a certain year, a certain time, stuff like that. So it's called WrestleGasm 85. So obviously it looked like something to do physical at first when I first watched it, but then I was like, it absolutely has nothing to do with physical. So the competition was basically there was a wrestling ring, and then you had like all these people come out, and then you had a tag team come out, and then you guys remember Jesse. Obviously, he was on Big Brother. Mr. Spectacular is what he calls himself. He come out, and so they like pretty much staged the entire wrestling match. So the key to this HOH was a lot of the house guests probably had no clue what they were doing. Shout out to Greg for reposting the stream from DW Family Media page. A lot of the house guests, they were not paying attention. They were just looking at the men wrestling in the ring. So there were certain things that were happening during the match. This was ultimately going to be a true or false HOH. Like the match was completed, obviously. They went through the whole wrestling match and everything like that, and then they went into their own separate booths. And I believe it only went 4 rounds, something like that. It wasn't many. I know the Toolshed Alliance was like, most of them went out fast. I know D went out the first round. Basically, it come down to Kamu was the only one left out of the Toolshed Alliance, and I think it was like 4 or 5 others that was left with them on the 4th round. So he was completely outnumbered. I was like, holy shit, we're about to get a power shift here. So, as I said, the HOH competition was called WrestleGasm 85 with Rome out of the game. Julie Chan Moonves welcomed the remaining house guests to the week 3 head of household. Everyone understood how important this HOH would be as the house strength. Each victory carried more weight. A single decision could reshape this season. This week's competition was called WrestleGasm 85, a wrestling-themed, inspired over-the-top style of 1980s professional wrestling. House guests had to battle through the competition while staying focused under pressure. Every point mattered, and several players stayed in contention deep into the challenge. As the competition continued, the field narrowed until only a few house guests remained with a realistic shot at the win. The pressure mounted with every round as players knew they weren't just competing for safety, they were competing for complete control of the week. So in the end, it was down to Kamu. I don't have the other people. I believe Melody, maybe Lyric, and a couple of other ones was left. And on question 4, the other side of the house all said true, and Camus guessed false. And it was about, when he got into the ring, did he do his muscle pose with the right arm? I think the right arm or something like that. And the rest of the ladies said true, and Camus said false. So with that being said, Camus, I don't know how he pulled it off, but Camus won the HOH competition. So we are going to see another week of the Toolshed Alliance in power. So Camus won the HOH. Obviously, it gave him immunity, and he has to nominate 3 house guests. He has control over the direction of week 3, opportunity to strengthen alliances while forcing the rest of the house to reveal where they stood. Immediately after the competition, congratulations poured in from the other house guests while everyone celebrated Camus' victory publicly. Strategy discussion began almost immediately behind closed doors. Some players hoped Camus would make a safe move that kept the house united. Others quietly pushed for bigger targets to be nominated, hoping to improve their own position in the game without exposing themselves. No matter which path Camus decided to choose, the entire house would soon be campaigning for safety. Well, not the whole house, because Toolshed. So we're going to go on into Camus sails into the HOH room, begins holding on one-on-one conversation, and we're going and decides that, immediately, right after he won the HOH, I believe he was talking to Drew and Barrett in the HOH room, and he also told D and Devins as well. His initial noms that he wants to nom. This was like not even 10 minutes after he won the competition. He wants to put up Lyric, Latrice, Lala, whatever you call her, and Mallory. House alliance begin to shift as the players realize where they stand under the new HOH. So we will go to part 3. So Camus is in power, which I did not think he was going to win a true and false, but he definitely surprised me. So let's talk about the nomination ceremony. It was a pretty wild week. Jason went up to speak to Camus, and so this is how all the drama got started. This week had a lot of drama. So I'm not sure if you know who Jason is, but obviously Jason is Selena on, I believe, RuPaul's Drag Race. But never told anyone, which is crazy because it might have helped them in the game. But Jason went up to Camus and was basically asking not to be put on the block. Obviously, they had to win the Blockbuster competition last week just to stay alive. They did that, and then ultimately Rome went home. So Camus did tell Jason that he would not nominate them for eviction, but he also told Lyric the same thing. But ultimately, Camus had to go back on his word to Lyric. Camus and the Toolshed Alliance had a bigger plan. Just like last week, they went in with a plan to backdoor Rome. The plan this week is to ultimately backdoor Jason. They don't want to put him up. They don't want to put them up on the block to give Jason 2 chances to pull himself down from the nomination block. This week was just a crazy. Jason was the house is going to be, like Jason said tonight, the house is going to be way more boring than it was before. Jason brought a lot of drama this week. But fresh out the victory, Camus officially began the first full day of the new head of household. The conversation quickly turned strategic. Throughout the day, he started the one-on-one. Some players emphasized loyalty and reminded Camus of the trust they had built over the first 2 weeks. Others tried to redirect the target toward players they viewed as bigger long-term threats. Several house guests kept their conversations intentionally vague, hoping not to expose too much of their own game. As these meetings wrapped up, it became clear that multiple names had been discussed. Rumors spread through the house, and no one outside of Camus' closest confidants felt completely safe. So the nomination ceremony. Later that day, the house guests gathered for the obviously. So before we get to that, Camus told Lyric he wasn't going to put her up as well. But then I believe it was like on the feed the next day or the next night. He did call. Lyric's been flirting with him as well. She's doing what she got to do to stay in the game, and she's winning comps too. So, he did tell Lyric, like, look, like, I don't want to have to do this, but I know I told you I wasn't going to put you up on the block, but ultimately I got to put you up on the block. But no way you're going home, which if you guys have been watching Big Brother as long as I have, pawns go home a lot in Big Brother. So it's got to be scary to go up, obviously. You know, Rome just left. So, but another backdoor plan. So, obviously Jason was the plan for the backdoor. So Jason was promised safety. And a lot of stuff transpired after the nominations. It wasn't too bad with that, but a lot of stuff transpired in between the nominations and the power veto. That's where I feel like Jason really screwed up. They talked way too much. So later that day was the nomination ceremony for week 3. And this season, as well as last season, there is a BB Blockbuster where someone has a chance, if they can't win the power veto, to win the BB Blockbuster comp and take themselves down. So there's only 2 people sitting in the eviction chair on eviction night. So the nomination keys were revealed one by one. So the Kamu's nominations for week 3 were Mallory, Lala, they call her Latrice as well, and Lyric. But Kamu did tell Lyric that he was going to put her up. She didn't like it, but ultimately, you know, Mallory is a comp beast. I'm just going to say that. Mallory won a veto. She was on D put her on the block the first week. She won that Pipes veto. Mallory is going to be somebody to watch out for when she's on the block, because they might have to backdoor her because she's tough to beat in competitions. The only thing I don't like about Mallory is she is just way too emotional. Every time she goes on the block, she cries. Her friends have to calm her down. Like, this is Big Brother, so like everybody's going to go on the block eventually. She was very emotional this week, and Melody and Lyric and Mallory they're like a final 3 to me, it seems like. And then obviously you have Drew, who I feel like is with Melody, and then Barrett is flirting with D, but he also, you know, I think he's also flirting with Mallory as well. So the 3 nominees took their seats as the rest of the house reacted to Kamu's choices. While some house guests appeared relieved to have avoided the block, others immediately began thinking about how the nomination might affect the balance of power. For Lyric, Lala, and Mallory, the focus shifted to one goal: surviving long enough to compete for the power of veto. So once the ceremony ended, the strategy intensified. Lyric knew winning the veto would likely be the safest path forward, even though there was a backdoor plan in place. Lala began reinforcing social relationships, hoping to gather support if she remained on the block. Mallory started preparing for every possible scenario, crying. She cried every time, including the blockbuster competition if necessary. House guests not on the block quietly debated whether this week would stay simple or become much more complicated. With 3 nominees and multiple twists still in play, everyone knew the week was far from over. The house settles into campaign mode as alliances compare notes, new conversations shape the week's strategy, and attention turns toward the upcoming power veto competition. As tensions build, players begin positioning themselves for what could become the biggest turning point of week 3. So we will move to part 4. So, all right. So part 4 is campaigning, house strategy, and veto draw. With the nominations now official, the mood inside the Big Brother house changed almost immediately. So this is where Jason messes up. So Jason went to all 3 of the nominees and told them if they got house guest choice, which so in the power veto, the HOH, which is Kamu, Lala, Lyric, and Mallory, would all compete, but 2 house guests would be drawn from a random box. If you get house guest choice, you get to pick someone that's not on the block or not the HOH because they're already competing to compete in the power veto. Anyone can use that power veto on anyone. So Jason went to all 3 nominees, was like, if you draw the house guest choice button, make sure if you pick me, I'll take you down off the block. Well, that immediately got back to D, got back to Devins, and it got back to Kamu. So I think where Mallory messed up for being nominated, obviously she's a competition threat, but when she had her one-on-one with Kamu in his HOH room, Kamu asked her who she would probably put up for eviction, and she said the Survivor players, and obviously Kamu is directly tied to the Survivor players. So that was not a good move by her. He was like, well, that's a really good reason for me to put your ass up on the block. So Lyric campaigned by stressing that the nominations were only temporary and the power veto could change everything. Lala worked on maintaining a strong personal relationship throughout the house, hoping that if she stayed on the block and that people would want to keep her over other nominees. After Mallory had her breakdown, she began carefully talking with different groups while avoiding creating unnecessary conflict. Rather than scrambling, Mallory focused on building trust and preparing for whatever happened next. So Kamu's position as HOH. As HOH, Kamu continued meeting privately with different house guests. Some encouraged Kamu to stay the course and avoid making waves. Others quietly floated alternative targets in case the veto was used. Although everyone wanted information, Kamu revealed very little, making it difficult for the rest of the house to know where he was headed. But we knew where he was headed from the feeds. Alliance continued to shift away from the HOH room. Alliance meetings and side conversations became more frequent. House guests compared notes about who seemed closest to Kamu, which nominees had the strongest support, whether a backdoor plan, which I talked about, could still be possible, how the upcoming blockbuster competition could completely change the week. Several players recognized that even if their names weren't on the block, they still needed to position themselves well for the weeks ahead. So looking ahead to the power veto. As veto players were finalized, attention shifted to the week's next major competition. For Lyric, Lala, and Mallory, winning meant taking control of their own fate. For everyone else, the veto represented an opportunity to influence the direction of the week and possibly force Kamu to reveal another target. The house guests will be competing in the power veto competition. In part 5, we're rolling right along, guys. I guess I'll skip the time capsule. Hopefully it's in here somewhere. So I did not write down everyone that was in the competition. I believe I can name them though. So it was obviously Kamu, Lala, Mallory, Lyric, and the 2 house guest choices were, the 2 people that were picked was Haley and I believe Jason as well. So Jason, I believe it was a house guest choice and someone did select Jason to play. So so the name of the power veto was called the pickleball. So there was like a giant pickle. You had to like stand on it and then it spun around for like a minute or so. And then you got like this little pickleball looking thing and all these balls started like flying at you and you had to hit the ball with it and try to land it in a number. Obviously the goal was to hit as many balls into the highest scoring numbers to be able to win. I believe in the first competition, I believe it was Kamu against, I believe it was, was it Jason? It was no, it was Lyric against Haley in the first part. Lyric defeated Haley and it wasn't even close. Lyric, she said that she used to play pickleball with her mom like every Sunday. So, and obviously her man Rome is a pickleball coach. So That's just really weird. This competition was called the pickleball. So Lyric defeated Haley. And obviously, if you win that round, you get to select who goes next. And then I believe we saw Kamu against Jason, which came down really close. I believe it was like 1 or 2 points. It's just funny because you're dizzy and you're trying to like recover your balance and not being like shook around the whole time. And then you have to try to like hit the ball with this pickleball racket, and you got to land it up into the platform, but you want to also try to be strategize and get like, because there had spots where you could land in like 11 points or 3 points. But Lyric was beasting it. So the next two to go was Kamu versus Jason. Kamu defeated Jason. So then that left, let's see. So then it was Kamu, Lyric, and Mallory. I'm sorry. I may be leaving someone out. Lala. Somebody beat Lala. I think it was Mallory and Lala. I think they competed and Mallory won. So then Mallory faced Kamu. And I believe it was like 86 to 85 or something like that. It was something close to that. I don't write the specific number down, so it's way too much to cover in 1 week. But Mallory ended up beating Kamu by 1. So ultimately, it came down to the 2 ladies at the end, and it was Mallory and Lyric. And it was not even close. Lyric absolutely destroyed Mallory. So, like I said, this week's video competition was called Pickleball. The challenge tested the house guest's ability to stay focused under pressure while completing a series of pickleball-themed tasks. Speed, accuracy, and consistency all played a role, and the competition remained close throughout. Several players turned in strong performances, but one nominee separated herself when it mattered most. Lyric defeated Mallory in the final round and won the golden power of veto. I told you guys after week 1, if Ron leaves the house, an attorney won it last season. Don't sleep on Lyric. So she's got to win some power, but she's definitely going to be a force. She's on the wrong side of the house though. So like that house has got to start getting some power, or Lyric's going to eventually go. But I think their targets, I think they're going to try to get the weaker players out. I know if a D won or a Devins won or something like that, I don't think Lyric's going to be a target. She might, but I highly doubt it. I think it would be like probably a Melody, maybe a Drew. The house, especially Rick, Angela, and D are really sketched about Drew because he seems to be playing. And I think Kingpin asked me last week which member of the tool shed did I feel like was the weakest link. I said Drew. I think I said Barrett because I think Barrett was like the last one that was brought into the tool shed alliance. But truthfully, Drew is playing a very similar game to like Dr. Will. Like he's flipping back and forth, but he thinks that they're not noticing, but they're on to him. So Drew better be careful, especially if Rick or D or Angela wins HOH, because Mr. Drew may end up seeing himself getting backdoored or on the block way sooner than what he would expect. So Lyric won the pickleball, guaranteeing her safety for the week. The victory completely changed the direction of week 3. For Lyric, the win was a huge relief. After beginning the week on the nomination block, she had earned herself the right to remove herself from danger and continue her game. Meanwhile, Lala and Mallory realized that one of them could remain on the block after the veto ceremony, while the rest of the house immediately began speculating about who Kamu would nominate as a replacement. So the house reaction after the competition conversations, Drew is, I believe Drew is in big trouble. I believe Drew is in big trouble. He is. D and Devins and Angela are on to him. Drew better have none of them 3 win HOH because he is in trouble. He's done got really close with Melody. and he's definitely playing both sides of the house. So after the competition, the conversation exploded. Some players started throwing out names for replacement, hoping to influence Kamu's decision while exposing their alliance. Others kept their distance, worried that pushing too hard could make themselves the next target. After Kamu, the HOH suddenly had another major decision to make. The power of veto had guaranteed Lyric safety, but also guaranteed that someone new would be sitting on that nomination block before the week was over. The stage was now set for one of the most important nomination ceremonies of the week. Coming up in part 6 is the power of veto ceremony. So we'll get to that. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit before the power of veto ceremony. So they're all outside having a tea time, is basically what they called it. And Kamu calls Jason out and says, so, and this is really illegal. You're not really supposed to do this in a Big Brother game. Hopefully they don't do anything to Kamu. You're not really supposed to do that. So Kamu says to Jason that, so he basically called Jason out on going to Lala, Mallory, and Lyric and telling them all three at the same time to pick them to pick Jason to play in the veto. And Jason told all three of them if they won the power veto, he would pull them off the block. So he got caught with his hands tied at that point. So Kamu basically called Jason out. It became very heated outside. Kamu basically told the entire house at that point in time, which the majority knew anyway, but he told Jason to his face, like, you're going up. So then, oh God, here we go. The drama is starting to begin. After the nomination, we'll get to the nomination ceremony, and then I'll tell you about everything that Jason was doing throughout the week. Jason was definitely replaying Big Brother season 19 with Josh Martinez, with beating on the pots and pans. Jason was definitely following in Josh's footsteps. Unfortunately, we'll see if Jason can survive the night. So following Lyric's victory in the pickleball, the house spent the next day trying to predict what head of household Kamu would do. As I said, they had a meeting outside with one nominee guaranteed to come off the block. Everyone began speculating. Some house guests believed HOH would make the safest possible move, while others expected a bigger strategic swing. No one wanted to become the unexpected replacement nominee. So the power veto ceremony. The house guests gathered for the veto ceremony as expected, and anyone that watches the game in Big Brother, if you are on the block and you win power veto, you're going to take yourself off the block. You're not going to stay on the block unless you want to go home or go to the jury house. Once we get to the jury phase, that's when I really love the game, is when we get to the jury phase, because that's when you have to start thinking about. That's why Paul didn't win, because he didn't have good jury management. So as expected, Lyric chose to use the power veto on herself, officially removing herself from the nomination block and guaranteeing her safety for the week. I left head of household Kamu with one final decision. After a brief explanation, which had already been discussed outside, Kamu named Jason as the replacement nominee. So after all that went on, Jason kind of did it to himself, because at the end of the day, Jason told all three nominees to pick him for veto and that he would take all three of them, when he had already struck a deal with Kamu. Jason told Kamu, if Kamu kept Jason off the block, that if Jason was picked to win in the veto and Jason won, that Jason would do whatever Kamu wanted him to do with the veto to keep themselves off the block. Jason completely lied. So that's ultimately the downfall. So after Jason was nominated, as I said, throughout the week on the feeds, Jason was going around the house, talking shit to Kamu, talking shit to Haley, beating on a teapot, just causing all kinds of ruckus, a lot of drama. Definitely Josh Martinez all over again for Jason. So following the ceremony, the nominees are Lala, Mallory, and Jason. The replacement nomination shifted the mood in the House. Jason now had very little time to secure the votes while causing a shit ton of drama, while Lala and Mallory continue working to improve their own positions. Strategy intensified. Once the ceremony ended, campaigning kicked into high gear. Jason immediately began talking with House guests. He was trying to build support for eviction night, which wasn't working very well. Lala worked to strengthen existing relationships and convince others she was valuable to their game. Mallory continued balancing social while preparing for the possibility of going to compete in the blockbuster competition. At the same time, several House guests quietly counted votes and discussed which outcome would benefit their alliance the most. So this was a weird week. Before we get into the blockbuster and stuff, because that the other side of the house, all three of them are on the other side of the tool shed. So like Lala is probably the weakest player out of definitely the weakest player out of the three competition wise. So Melody was kind of pitching throughout the week on the feeds, especially that whether it was Mallory on the block at the end or Jason, she was really pitching for. I don't know what would have happened, obviously, if that particular person would have still been on the block. But Melody wanted to make sure that Jason and Mallory stayed, so that because they're both competition threats and they could be the ones to take the shot at the Tool Shed Alliance. So ultimately, did that happen? We'll see. But they always show all this dramatic stuff where it looks like they're going to flip, but do they actually flip? We'll see when we get to the blockbuster stuff. So there was one major obstacle before eviction night. Obviously, Lala, Mallory, and Jason were the remaining nominees that would head to tonight, which was eviction night. And just like last season, it is the BB Blockbuster. If you do win this competition, you come off of the block, and the other two will go to the House vote for eviction. The Blockbuster competition still have the power to remove one nominee from the block, meaning the week's plans to change it again. So before we get to that, we are going to talk about BB Unlocked. I did this. I'm going to have to fix this next week because I did this a little backwards, guys. All right, so part 7, before we get to the blockbuster, because obviously I didn't do it wrong because the blockbuster eviction was tonight. So part 7 is titled The BB Unlocked and the Time Capsule Twist, which took place Friday. With the veto ceremony complete and the nomination block set, Lala, Mallory, and Jason, the focus briefly shifted away from the campaign as BB Unlocked gave viewers a closer look at one of the season's biggest twists, the BB Time Capsule, which you can vote for on CBS. CBS.BigBrother/vote. I'm not sure. I'll get that website for next week's episode. Throughout the season, the Time Capsule has been hanging over the game, with House guests knowing that hidden advantages and disadvantages could dramatically alter their chances of surviving. So, during Friday's episode, viewers were shown the complete lineup of powers and disadvantages available through the twist. The reveal gave fans a better understanding of just how much the Time Capsule could influence the rest of the season. Each item carried the potential to give a player a strategic advantage, disrupt another house guest's plans, affect competitions or ceremonies, force players to quickly adapt to unexpected twists. Inside the house, though, however, the players still had to account for the uncertainty. Even if they didn't know exactly which twists were active, everyone recognized that the Time Capsule could completely reshape a week at any moment. So, ultimately, Rick Devens ended up winning America's vote this week. He went into the Time Capsule, and like I said, you spin around. There's I think it's eight or nine different screens. On half of them it's disadvantage and half of them is power. Ultimately, Rick spun around for a little while and kind of figured out the pattern, and he hit the button and he landed on a power. And boy, did he ever strike gold! Because Rick Devens ultimately got the diamond power of veto, which I call it the coup d'etat. It's basically the same thing. Me and Kingpin talked about this last week as possibly one of the powers. It is actually the strongest power that you can get in the Big Brother game. It truly is. So how the diamond power veto works is at the power veto ceremony. Even if Rick is not on the block, he can literally pull someone off the block, and at that point, the HOH has no power because then Rick would name the replacement nominee. So it is the strongest power that you can get in the game. So after Rick got the power, the only person that Rick told about the power was Dee. He hinted around to her on the feeds. She wasn't catching on. He's like, oh, what if I got the diamond power veto? What if I got the diamond power veto? He's like, oh, well, I got it. She's like, shut the front door. And so Dee is obviously super aligned with Angela, but they have not told Angela. So Rick Devens and Dee have a final 2, and Devens said that he only wants to use this power to benefit if him or Dee are on the block together, or if Dee's on the block or if Devens is on the block, he wants to be able to use it. Let me see if I can find the rest of the powers. Just 1 second, guys. I'm trying to find the maybe I can find it on I thought I had it written down. Let me see if I can find it on the internet. The powers and disadvantages for the time capsule. I thought I wrote it down, but didn't. Disadvantages. I can't believe I didn't write it down. I thought I did. All right, let's see if I can find them on Google. Okay, so the powers are so there's 6 game-changing powers. There is the replay power, which allows the holder to play in back-to-back HOH competitions. So if you get the replay power and you are the HOH and you play that power, you are allowed to compete. Because normally if you're HOH, you can't compete in the next HOH competition. But if you get this power, you can go play back-to-back. Then there's also the mystery competitor, which we saw Casey Clark come back and play for Keanu in the veto last season and won. He came off the block. You can bring back a house guest alumni to compete in the veto on your behalf. So that's also a very good power to get. The Never Not Pass protects the holder from being ever selected as a have-not. If I was going to get a power and I was in a good position in the house, this would probably be the one I would want to get because you never have to take a cold shower and you never have to eat slop. So the BB Bribe, usually it's $5,000. It grants money to financially bribe another player in the house. The Diamond Power of Veto, which belongs to Rick Devens, which is the strongest power in this time capsule, allows the holder to take a nominee off the block and name the replacement nominee directly. So that is a monster power. And then we have the Coin of Destiny. It enables the holder to overthrow the reigning HOH if they win a correct coin flip call. That also is a huge power. if you get the Coin of Destiny and you play the power, it's a 50-50 chance. If it lands on what you say, heads or tails, then you overthrow the reigning HOH. So that is a monster power. So we'll see who ends up with that. So those are the 6 powers. One is gone. Rick Devens owns the Diamond Power Vita. There's 5 powers left. The disadvantages: the hard-boiled detective. We saw Vince played that last season, and Angela got that after week 1. So that has been flushed. The Lord of the Latrine requires the punished player to publicly announce whenever any house guest goes to the bathroom. So I don't remember what season that's from, but if you get that disadvantage, you have to publicly announce whenever any house guest goes to the bathroom. A camp guide. I remember this particular disadvantage. Forces the player to set up gear and perform camp duties like cooking hot dogs and stuff like that whenever alerted, and you're having to carry around this big camp sack and all that. It's a pain in the ass. Amazon requires eating a massive, ridiculous amount of ham. I believe Josh Martinez got that, and he was about to throw up. And then Adam and Eve. I'm going to be super stoked to see who gets this. Adam and Eve. It tethers 2 players together in flesh-colored bodysuits and fig leaves for 24, I believe it's 24 hours or so. They have to be tethered to each other. They have to follow each other everywhere. We'll see who ends up with that. The red unitard forces the recipient to wear a bright red unitard costume at all times with assigned task. So that is your 6 punishments. The hardball detective has been taken, and the Diamond Power Vita, the biggest power in the game, is owned by Rick Devens. So yeah, that's going to be we're going to see if Rick is able to use that power. Hopefully he doesn't have to use it too soon. So let's get back into it. So we're going to go into tonight, and we're going to go to the Big Brother Blockbuster competition with Lala, Mallory, and Jason. So the name of the Big Brother Blockbuster competition was called the Videotape Tumble. So it was kind of set up like House of Cards, but it was videotapes. The key was that you had to be able to remove a videotape without the whole stack of the videotapes falling down. You had to remove it and then run down about 20 feet or so and stick it into a slot. And the person with the most points, I believe it was after 2 minutes. I'm not 100% sure on the accuracy of the amount of time. But the person with the most points without their stack falling down would win the BB Blockbuster and remove themselves from the block. It's called the Videotape Tumble. The 3 nominees battle in the Videotape Tumble. So we're going to get to that in part 8. Break that down for you guys. And it was really close. So the Blockbuster competition with the Power Veto ceremony complete. Only one obstacle remained for the live eviction, and that was the Blockbuster, BB Blockbuster. 3 nominees, Lala, Mallory, and Jason, prepared to battle in the Blockbuster competition with one final chance to save themselves. It will compete in Videotape Tumble. The competition tested the nominees' ability to stay composed under pressure while racing to complete the challenge. Every point mattered, and the score remained incredibly close from start to finish. All 3 nominees fought hard, knowing that a single mistake could end their game. So it was really intense. Lala, I believe she got 2 points, and I think if you had like a Julie Chen Moonves, obviously the host. I never mentioned her. I'm sorry, Miss Julie. But Julie, if your stack fell, then you had like a delay, like a minute or 2 delay. So Lala got 2 points, and then her stack fell. So at that point, she's pretty much done. So this was back and forth between Mallory and Jason. Mallory was in the lead most of the time. With about 30 seconds left, Jason tied her up, but Mallory was also going to deliver another tape at the same time. So it was, I believe it was 8-7. And it was 7-7. And Mallory, with about 15 or with 10 seconds left, Mallory put a tape in to make it 8-7. She ran back, got another tape out. I don't know how they kept their stack from falling. Very good patience. You can't be shaking and all that. So Jason is going to put his tape into the slot, and the time expired, but Mallory is also in there trying to put another one. So she wins either way it goes. Mallory has won the Blockbuster by a score of 8-7 over Jason, and Jason is devastated. It was super, 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 super close. Mallory narrowly defeated the competition with a final score of 8-7. She earned her safety for the week. The victory meant Mallory officially removed herself from danger and secured her place in the house for another week. So with Mallory safe, the final nominees became Jason and Lala. Jason, as soon as he got into the house, completely broke down, started crying. At that point, Jason did give a very compelling speech because before there was going to be 12 votes tonight, so it could be a tie, and the HOH could have to break the tie. But when Jason walked in, he told Common, "Don't touch me, don't talk to me." He was pretty pissed off at Common. So, but Jason started crying. I think at that point, Jason knew that they were probably going home. But they did give a very compelling speech, like, if you want to keep me around, I'm a target. I will go after that other side of the house. So ultimately, we'll see what happens. Lala did, just a basic speech. The mood inside the house shifted immediately. Jason and Lala each made one final push to secure the votes needed to stay, while the rest of the house met proudly to compare notes and decide which outcome would best serve their games. Some players favored keeping Jason. Like I said, Melody was campaigning all week for Mallory or Jason to stay so that because she knew she can't win a comp. So, I mean, she can, but it doesn't look like she can. She wanted Jason and Mallory there because she knew that both of them would take a shot at the icons, what they call Dee, Devins, and Angela. Which, I mean, Angela is an icon, but she's not a comp beast. Some players favor keeping Jason because of the relationship and being a comp beast and a shield, while others believed evicting him would strengthen their own position moving forward. By the time the live show began, many votes had already been decided. Both nominees continued fighting until the last moment. Stage was set for another live eviction. So we're going to get to that live eviction. Live eviction night. After an emotional and strategy-filled week, the live eviction show began with Julie Chen Moonves welcoming viewers back to Big Brother House. The week twist had completely reshaped the game. Lyric had saved herself with the power veto. Jason had become the replacement nominee, and Mallory had narrowly won the videotape tumble Blockbuster competition by a score of 8-7, leaving Jason and Lala as the final nominees. Now the power shifted from the head of household to the rest of the house. Every eligible house guest besides Kamu, unless it was a tie, was able to go to the diary room one by one to cast their vote to see who will join Ashley and Drew as the third member evicted from the Big Brother house. Before the voting began, both nominees had one last opportunity to address their fellow house guests. Lala thanked the house for listening throughout the week, made her case to remain in the game, emphasizing the relationship she had built into her desire to continue competing. Jason also delivered his final speech, asking the house guests to please consider what was best for their individual games, and so they could see what is going to happen moving forward if they don't keep somebody that will take a shot at the rest of the house. He considered himself a vampire, like just going after blood at some point, hoping to earn enough votes to survive another week. With the speeches complete, the voting officially began. One by one, the house guests cast their votes. So, I thought this vote was going to be a lot closer than what it was, especially all the work that Melody had put in through the week. But ultimately, by a unanimous vote of 12-0, and I wish I had some drum roll music, Lala is safe. Jason was evicted from the Big Brother house by a unanimous vote of 12-0. little bit shocking. I did not think it was going to be unanimous. I honestly thought maybe Kami might have to break a tie, or it might be 7-5. I'm very shocked that it was unanimous, but Jason had just broken trust with too many people. Obviously, a big threat, but ultimately, the house didn't want to jeopardize their own games by keeping Jason in the house. So Jason will join Ashley and Drew as the first three people evicted from the house. The unanimous results showed that the House had reached a strong consensus by the end of the week, ending Jason's game after a time on the block as a replacement nominee. So Jason did not really hug anybody in the tool shed except for Barrett and Drew. And he gave them some little tea leaves to a lot of them as well. After saying his goodbyes to remaining house guest, Jason walked out the front door to meet Julie. So Julie, when she was talking to Jason about the votes, obviously he said, he had a feeling that he was probably going to go. She did, and Julie asked Jason why they felt that America did not like him, and Jason said, all teared up and stuff, and obviously that's when it was revealed that Jason was Selena from RuPaul's Drag Race. So apparently, Julie revealed that in the BB time capsule in the first 2 weeks that Jason was in the top 3 votes. America voted him in the top 3. So Jason was really close to getting the power. Julie did not say who won the power or who was second. Maybe Jason was second. Who knows? She said top 3. So it'll be interesting to see. That will be revealed Sunday. The new HOH will be revealed this coming Sunday. Obviously, there's going to be a BB Unlocked tomorrow. They just kind of go over the gameplay for the week. I mean, it's not a must watch, but obviously, this past Friday with the powers and disadvantages being labeled, I felt like it was a must watch because you got to see what the powers were and how it worked. So back inside the house, the move was mixed. Some players were relieved their plan had worked exactly as intended, while others immediately began thinking ahead to the next household competition. With another eviction complete, the game entered a new phase. Only 13 house guests remain. So everyone knew the next HOH could completely reshape the balance of power once again. So we're going to part 10. So after the eviction, looking ahead, part 10. With Jason's unanimous 12-0 eviction now official, the remaining house guests returned inside knowing the game had reached another turning point. The unanimous vote often sends a clear message in the Big Brother house. While everyone publicly agreed on the outcome, many players immediately began thinking about what the vote meant for the weeks ahead. Some house guests were pleased that the week ended exactly as planned. Others quietly wondered who might become the next target now that another competitor had left the game. So the house moving forward. As the shock of the live eviction wore off, conversation quickly shifted to the future. Several players discussed which alliance had gained the most power after the vote, whether unanimous eviction would create new trust or expose hidden relationships. Who needed to win the next HOH, which I think if it's anyone outside the Toolshed Alliance, it is going to be the best week ever for week 4. But depending on what the comp is, I think it's going to be highly unlikely that somebody outside the Toolshed wins. We'll see. Which players were beginning to emerge as the biggest strategic threats? Even those who have voted together understood that the next HOH could force them onto opposite sides of the house. So I label this week 3's biggest winners. I do this on every episode. So for me, it was Common. I knew he would be good in endurance and athletic comps, but he's actually really smart as well. I like Common, but some people don't. Common successfully navigated the week as HOH, despite the power of veto and blockbuster competition changed the noms. The intended target was ultimately evicted, making the HOH reign a successful one. So for me, my biggest thing with Kamu was Kamu never like Josh Martinez was able to shake up the whole house with the beating on the pots and pans. Common kept his composure. He never like went off or anything like that. So I definitely respect Common for that. Lyric was number 2. Starting the week on the nomination block, Lyric won the Pickleball Power Veto competition and removed herself from danger. It was one of the most important individual wins of the week. Mallory, second time she saved herself in 3 weeks. Mallory found herself in danger late in the week, but delivered when it mattered. Winning the videotape tumble by a razor-thin 8-7 score to earn safety and survive another week. The week 3 biggest losers, obviously Jason, because he joins Rome and Ashley on being evicted. After becoming the replacement nominee following the veto ceremony, Jason's game came to an end. Despite campaigning to stay, the House unanimously voted to evict him, making him the 3rd House guest eliminated from the season. Game ahead, with only 14 House guests remaining, every competition, every vote will become increasingly important. Relationship built during the first 3 weeks would now be tested, and players could no longer rely on simply staying out of the spotlight. The next HOH would have the chance to redraw the lines in the game and potentially change the season trajectory. So we're going to move on to the next part, getting you ready for week 11. So I call this the week 3 wrap up, the power rankings and looking ahead. 3 weeks into Big Brother 28, season 28, the game has officially entered its strategic phase. Early friendships are no longer enough to keep players safe, and every competition, conversation, and vote is becoming more important. Week 3 featured another successful HOH train, another successful backdoor, a game-changing power, a veto, a dramatic blockbuster that came down to the last second, decided by a single point, and the second unanimous eviction of the season. Actually, was also, there's only been, so the second vote, Rome got 1 vote to stay. The other 2 were evicted unanimously. It leaves the remaining house guests preparing for an even more unpredictable week 4. Week 3 by the numbers. HOH competition was WrestleGasm 85, which was won by Kamu. Initial noms were Lyric, Lala, and Mallory. The Power Veto was called the Pickleball. Power Veto winner was Lyric, which she used it on herself. The replacement nom was Jason. The Blockbuster competition was the Videotape Tumble. The Blockbuster winner was Mallory by a score of 8-7. The final nominees was Jason and Lala Latrice, whichever one you call her. And Jason was ultimately joins Ashley and Rome as the 3rd person evicted from Big Brother season 28 with a 12-0 vote. So the biggest moves of the week. Best competition win, Lyric winning the Power Veto. She playing pickleball, she killed it. Without that victory, Lyric's game could have ended. Instead, she secured her own safety and forced Common to nominate Jason. The clutch performance goes to Mallory, surviving the week the second time that she survived week 1 when Dee nominated her by winning the Power Veto. This time she won. This is her second competition win, which was the BB Blockbuster. Mallory survived the week by winning a videotape tumble 8-7. 1 point made the difference between safety and remain on the block. Most successful HOH, opposite Kamu. Despite multiple twists changing the nomination, Kamu still saw the target leave unanimously, making week 3 a successful HOH reign. So here's my week 3 power rankings. And if you guys are the 148 people that's watching live, thank you guys. Make sure you guys leave comments. Tell me guys what y'all thought about week 3, the decision of Jason going on. I'm going to give you guys my power rankings for week 3. Number 1 is Kamu has moved up. Controlled the entire week as HOH ultimately achieved the desired eviction. Lyric, number 2, turned a dangerous position into safety with a timely veto win. Mallory won the most important competition of eviction night and survived. All 3 of those go up. Lala, I have an error. I have her pointing this way. She survived the block and lived to fight another week. I don't think she has any chance of winning the game, though. 5 through 13, the remaining house guests stayed largely under the radar, positioning themselves for the increasingly important weeks ahead. So the winner rankings. At the end of week 3, the players with the strongest path to victory appear to be Kamu, Lyric, and Mallory. These rankings are based on competition success, strategic position, and overall standing in week 4. The week 3 MVP are Kamo winning HOH. Seeing the successful backdoor plan. The honorable mentions is Lyric and Mallory. Looking ahead to week 4. With Jason now out of the game, the remaining house guests know there's very little room for error. Alliances will continue to evolve. Trust will become even more valuable, and the next HOH competition can completely reshape the season. The first 3 weeks have established the major players, but as the numbers continue to shrink, every decision will carry even greater consequences. One thing is certain, Big Brother 28 is just getting started. So let me pull up my full power rankings after week 3. I see your comments, Kingpin.
So I need $5,000. What exactly do you need? It's not legal.
All right, so power rankings. All right, let me get to Kingpin's question first. People are so scared to actually play the game. The Survivor group is dictating everything. Why are people so scared of them? D is a very strategic. She's good at competition, but she is very strategically sound. I feel like her and Angela are controlling this game. Devins is a great player, but he's never won Survivor. People are scared of D because she won Survivor and she, played on All Stars. So obviously people are like, terrified of that. And they should be, because she not only is she good at competitions, she is strategically maneuvering herself through the game without really getting a lot of blood on her hands. Ultimately, that's what you have to do when you get to the jury stage, because ultimately you can't piss the whole jury off where you're going to end up like Paul and getting screwed. I do agree. People are scared of them, but at the end of the day, Kingpin, they haven't had power yet. So as long as the Toolshed Alliance remains with the power, unless it's Drew or Barrett, if anybody else, if D, Angela, Devins, Chuck, or Haley win HOH, they're all the tool shed is all. Well, I don't know about the whole tool shed, because they're all. I think Drew might be in trouble this week. I think Drew may get backdoored. The other side of the house has got to win. Like, if they don't, it's ultimately going to be Kamu, D, Devins, Angela, Chuck, and Haley in the final 6. If they don't get some sort of power, that's how it's going to turn out. Like, I know that, there's other people making little side deals, but I don't think they're going to stick to that. I think that those 6 are the strongest players, right, in my opinion, right now. And until somebody else on the other side of the house wins power, then this is going to continue. The teams of 3 are going to start picking apart the middle players, with Drew and Barrett being next to go. I agree. I think Drew and Barrett are the most expendable ones in the Toolshed Alliance. But until somebody else wins power, then the Toolshed is just going to completely run this season. So I'm glad to see my pick Mallory still in the game. This week, HOH is crucial. Mallory is clutch. She's a very emotional player. I will say that, Kingpin. But she's going to be a tough cookie to get out. And if she does make it to the end, she could win the game. So we got to get a Big Brother pool going next season before I do the recap and stuff. Like with some people that, actually watch the show, and we do like a winner's pick, or, for fun, something like that. They throw in $5 or something, just to sweeten the pot. I'm actually going with D. I picked her from the start. It has nothing to do with her winning the first HOH. When I found out she was casted, which I knew way early because people put spoilers everywhere, and I'm a spoilers guy, so I knew that her and Devins and Angela was going to be casted. I thought she was going to have a little bit of trouble because she's never played. She never even watched Big Brother before the season started. She says she binge watched like the first 2 seasons before they went into where they go into a confinement or whatever before the season starts. But she is so good socially. I think she could be in danger if Drew wins HOH. If Melody wins HOH. She's really kind of tried to fix her relationship with Mallory since she put her up. I don't know if Mallory would put her up. She probably would. It would probably be Kamu, D, and maybe Devins that went up. I don't know. I mean, if it was me and I was on the other side of that house, I won power. I'm putting up either Devins, D, and Angela, or Chuck, Kamu, and Haley. Like, that's the move you have to make. If you don't make that move, then you're stupid, because you're going to allow those 6 to completely just ransack the entire rest of the season. And the thing is, Devins having that diamond power veto, if him or D are on the block after the veto is over, he's playing that power. So they're coming off the block. So that is the biggest power in Big Brother, and he has that. I would love to see D have a chance. Hopefully she doesn't get a disadvantage and get stuck with someone like Drew or Barrett in the tether thing. I would like to see her get the Coin of Destiny. That's the power I would love to see D get, to see how she would strategically play that to overtake an HOH, maybe if somebody on the other side. Because I know that Melody does not like D at all. So I know if Melody won HOH, D's going up. Latrice, I don't think she's winning anything. I think she's one of the floaters, truthfully. But the other side of the house has to win. I'm anxious to find out who won tonight. But that's a good pick. Mallory's a good pick. She's just on the wrong side of the house. Mallory could easily win HOH. She is by far, in my opinion, a top 5 competition-wise. She actually, if she's still in the game, Kingpin, and I was telling a couple of my friends, obviously, that I watched the show with, if Mallory's still in the game, she's honestly my pick to win the wall comp over all those big, strong guys. I think it's going to come down to her, Lyric, or D. I think those 3 ladies have the best chance, because that wall comp is not about who's the strongest, because that wall is going way down. And I think the smaller you are, the shorter you are, plays a big advantage in that. So I'm looking forward to watching that wall comp. I know they're going to do it. They do it every season. But Mallory would definitely be a pick for me. So let's go through my Big Brother rankings after week 3. Kamu, number 1. Only because he controlled the week. I don't think he's winning the game. Rick Devins at number 2. Still one of the most influential strategic players with strong alliance protection, and he holds the diamond power of veto. Actually, I probably should have put Rick Devins 1 and Kamu 2, but since Kamu won HOH, I did him a little favor this week. D, number 3. Well insulated within the majority alliance and remains in an excellent position, just like I said. Number 4 is Drew. I made these rankings before he started all this crap, but he's connected to multiple alliances, continues to be key strategic. I think he's in the most trouble. 5, Angela. Powerful socially, but some cracks have begun to show. D and Devin don't trust her enough to tell her about the power. So when she finds out, she's going to lose her shit. Because she's supposed to be final 3 with them. So Angela will blow up, and I think that will be ultimately her downfall. But I do think CBS wants Angela to be in this game as long as possible. So Angela was also on Amazing Race with her daughter. So Lyric, number 6. I think she's a sleeper. Huge jump after winning the power veto and saving herself. Number 7 is Barrett. Strong social position with several alliance connections. Number 8 is Mallory. Saved herself in the week 1 with the veto and winning the blockbuster, giving her some momentum and some confidence. Number 9 is Taylor. She's very quiet. Taylor is very quiet. Quietly improving her position while avoiding attention. She has no attention on her at all. Haley, Number 10, protected by allies but hasn't emerged as a central decision maker. Chuck at number 11. Benefits from strong alliance ties while staying under the radar. Yash, who was a last-minute cast decision, honestly. Still in a decent spot, but needs to build stronger influence. Melody, 13. I don't like Melody, truthfully. Lost an ally and now needs to rebuild her footing. I have hers going down. Lala, the last one, number 14. Survived the block but remains completely vulnerable after week 3. So I didn't, no major new name alliance. There was a couple of small ones, but really nothing to touch home about. Was instead the biggest story was the majority alliance beginning to crack as distrust grew between members. So D and Devins are starting to get a little skeptical about Angela, but the whole Toolshed alliance is skeptical about Drew. And also Barrett said publicly in the DR that he was the 8th person brought in. So he is definitely, if he gets Power or Drew, I feel like they're going to make a move on the other 6. So the key alliance structure after week 3 is just what I said. The Toolshed, D, Rick Devins, Angela, Barrett, Drew, Kamu, Haley, Chuck is still the most dominant alliance. The crossovers, which is D, Rick, Angela, Barrett, and Drew. And then we have the red corner, Kamu, Haley, Chuck, D, and Rick Devins. The Honor Society. That they don't really talk very much. We'll show them on the feed. D, Angela, Lala, and Taylor. The Dapper Dans, which Devins never told D about this alliance, so that's interesting. Rick Devins, Drew, Barrett, and Yash. The Handyman, they have a final 2, but I don't think Kamu will honor it. It's Drew and Kamu. The biggest week 3 storyline wasn't a brand new alliance. It was that the dominant alliances started showing internal tension, setting the stage for possible power shifts in week 4. So that is it, guys. Another week in the books for Big Brother season 28, week 3, as Jason is evicted 12-0. If you guys want to know who wins the next HOH, who wins the BB time capsule, will they receive a power or a disadvantage? Who will be the 3 initial nominees nominated for eviction in week 4? Who will win the golden power veto? Will it be a nominee? Will they be safe? Will they be pulled off the block? Will Rick use the diamond power veto this week? We'll see. By the way, Rick's diamond power veto is only good for 6 weeks. So he's got to be very methodical, and he's got to make sure that he uses it at the right time. I mean, if him or D is in trouble, he's got to use it, because if they're still on the block, they're getting voted out. So, well, especially if it's, after a few more weeks. I think if they went on the blocks now, I don't know, it would be close. Because I think Kamu and Haley and Chuck would keep them, but I think Drew and Barrett will flip in a second to get rid of D or Rick Devins. But find out who wins the power veto. See if there's another power in the game, if Rick's going to have to use it. And then find out who goes to the BB Blockbuster competition and who will join Jason, Rome, and Ashley as the 4th person evicted from the Big Brother house on Big Brother season 28. The week 4 recap show will be live here next Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Once again, Jason was unanimously evicted 12-0, and we will find out. I will find out shortly when I go to the feeds who won the HOH, who will control power this week. Will it be somebody outside the Toolshed Alliance? We will see. So shout out to Gus Bush, Sean. Haven't watched Big Brother since season 19. Glad to see you back. I'm glad you enjoy the recaps. Tribal Kingpin, always glad to see you guys. It was basically you guys in the comments. And shout out to Greg for reposting a stream from DWE Family Media page. So like I said, if you guys are watching live on YouTube or go back and watch the stream, definitely go back and leave some comments. Tell me what you thought about week 3. Tell me your power rankings. Anything you want to put in there on who you feel is got the best chance to win the game. any questions, just leave them in the comments. Make sure you do like the video. Shout out to the 179 people that we have watching live. We're an hour and 40 minutes in, so these are always longer shows. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love this show. I watch the feeds every day to try to give you guys the best recap that I possibly can give you guys. So we are live on my YouTube channel. We're also live on my X, but we're also live on DWE Television X page. Make sure you follow DWE TV on X. Everyone affiliated. You saw the CEO himself, Miami the Great. He was live earlier with Inside the Mind with Miami. Me and him will be back in about 5 to 6 weeks, maybe less, with the EVP Miami NFL recap show season 2, where we will recap every single week of NFL. If you guys know anyone that's interested in playing fantasy football, I have 5 leagues. I've been running for 9 years. I have a lot of openings in all the leagues, all different prices. I have cheap and I have expensive. If you are interested, hit Tribal Kingpin up or myself. We at least try to get 1 league filled up for sure. Also, tomorrow you can catch Miami and Final Boss Baby, as they will be doing a special edition of DW Radio. Make sure you follow her as well. She is the CFO and the HR of DWE. Tomorrow you tune in for the special episode of DW Radio. You can watch it live on DWE Television. Also on Talk It Up podcast on YouTube. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to them. Tune in to them tomorrow. They will get you talk about the shit show of WWE right now, TKO, and the build to SummerSlam. Also, the marketing and promotional director of DWE, The World of Greg. Make sure you follow him. Make sure you follow the DWE family media page as well. The World of Greg and Kyle Man Anthony every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern they host a show called The Rundown, where they get you ready for Monday Night Raw. Good stuff every week. So make sure you give both of them a follow and tune in on Mondays to The Rundown. Speaking of Kyle Man Anthony, if you guys were in my prediction show, right after the prediction show, it is on my YouTube channel. We do stream it live to my X and my YouTube as well, DW Television, and on Twitch. Kyle Man Anthony has a show called The Queens of WWE. We did episode 7 last night. So give Kyle Man Anthony a follow. Great show, great content. I thought about even posting shorts from that, but make sure you guys go check out the YouTube shorts from the SummerSlam prediction show. And give Kyle a follow and tune in next Wednesday night at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern for the Queens of WWE episode number 8. And we will be talking about everything from SmackDown, who qualified for the ladder match, what happens on Raw, and what happens NXT and SummerSlam. So make sure you tune into that. The Reckless One himself, Red, make sure you give him a follow on X. After Slam Podcast on X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, the Sports Jedi Network, and I know I'm leaving someone else. There's so many people. You can find everybody on the DW Television page, Sports Jedi Network, and also everyone affiliated with Gimmick Table Media as well. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Big Brother Season 28 Week 3 recap show. Can't wait to be back next week to see what happens on Week 4. I'll be back shortly to tell you guys where you can follow me on my socials and what I have coming up for the rest of this SummerSlam week.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
There are a lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps Prediction Sports. Let go, show recaps prediction sports
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps Prediction Sports. Let go.
Once again, thank you to everybody that tuned in to the Big Brother Season 28 Week 3 recap show. If you want to leave some comments, if you go back and watch the stream, let me know what you thought of Week 3, the decision of Jason being evicted by a 12-0 count. Leave some comments. I definitely check my comments. I get notifications. I will respond. This is a good show, 180 people. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. By the way, you can find me on my socials. Scrolling across the bottom of the screen, all my links are in my bio. You can find me on X, EVP2JP. Elon does not like me to follow a whole lot of people at once for some crazy reason. But I will follow you back. But once you are I follow you back on X. You can see my YouTube page is pinned at the very top. We're on the road to 400 subs. So just if you ever get a chance, just go up to the top of the page and retweet that YouTube link. Send it to your friends. If you enjoy this content, send it to your friends. That's how the channel, everybody's channel, word of mouth is always a big thing. So shout out to the 318, I believe, subscribers I have at this point in time. So thank you guys for that. You can find me on Instagram, EVP2JP. It is a business page, but you can see all the videos that Miami the Great and Greg make from my upcoming streams. I already have the SmackDown recap on there right now. Tomorrow, you'll see me post the SummerSlam Night 1 recap videos on Instagram. You can also find my YouTube link in my bio. On TikTok, you can find me at Brady the Goat 21, at BRADYDA Goat 21. Also a business page. My YouTube is in my bio. You can see all of my upcoming videos. Last but not least, most importantly, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you are subscribed, turn that notification bell on. You will be reminded when I go live. If you can't find my YouTube on any of my social media platforms, just go to the search bar at the top and type in at the EVP show. That being said, what I have coming up next for you guys, make sure you tune in to DW Radio tomorrow live with Miami the Great and Final Boss Baby. And then I will be back tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the last SmackDown before SummerSlam for the SmackDown recap show. And then Saturday, it is SummerSlam weekend. Join me at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday night for the SummerSlam Night 1 recap show. And then Sunday, there will be no Sunday Night Scoops or LFG, but rest assured I will be back Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the SummerSlam Night 2 recap show. With that being said, that is my schedule for the rest of the week. 3 more streams to close out the week, and then we will get into next week. I will tell you my schedule for next week starting tomorrow night. I'll let you guys know on the schedule for myself for next week. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Big Brother Season 28 Week 3 recap show. I hope you guys enjoy your Friday. Make sure you tune in to DW Radio and then come back and join me for SmackDown recap at 10:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. I am the EVP from the EVP show and the golden boy of DWE, and DWE is the only place to be. You guys enjoy your Friday. Tune in to DW Radio and come back and join me live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time as we recap the Go Home SmackDown before SummerSlam. Good night, everyone, and I will see you guys tomorrow for DW Radio and the SmackDown recap at 10:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. And once again, go check out the YouTube shorts that I just put out for the SummerSlam predictions. Good night, everyone.